The day the Astralis arrived was meant to be like any other. Dr. Ilara Chen stood at her observatory, eyes fixed on the vast expanse of stars above. For years, she had searched the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, sending out signals and waiting patiently for a response. Tonight, something was different. A faint glimmer caught her eye, growing brighter with each passing second. Ilara's heart raced as she adjusted her telescope, focusing on the anomaly. What she saw defied explanation. A massive crystalline structure descending through Earth's atmosphere, its surface refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. Within hours, the world was gripped by a mixture of awe and fear. News channels broadcast live footage of the alien vessel as it hovered above New York City, its size dwarfing even the tallest skyscrapers. Global leaders convened emergency meetings, militaries were placed on high alert, and civilians alternated between panic and fascination. As dawn broke, a message was broadcast simultaneously on every communication device on the planet. The aliens, calling themselves the Astralis, spoke in perfect English, their voices melodious and calming. People of Earth, we come in peace. We are the Astralis, travelers from a distant star system. We have journeyed across the cosmos to share our knowledge and technology with your species. We wish to elevate humanity and welcome you into the galactic community. The days that followed were a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings and public demonstrations of Astralis technology. They cured diseases thought incurable, showed humans how to harness clean, limitless energy, and promised to end global hunger and poverty. Dr. Chen found herself at the forefront of human-Astralis relations, chosen to lead a team of scientists working directly with the aliens. She marveled at their advanced technology and the seemingly boundless knowledge they possessed. "This is extraordinary," Ilara exclaimed, examining a device that could manipulate gravity itself. "With this technology, we could revolutionize space travel, construction, even medicine." Her Astralis counterpart, a tall, ethereal being named Zor, smiled enigmatically. "Indeed, Dr. Chen. And this is merely the beginning of what we have to offer your species." As weeks turned to months, the Astralis integrated seamlessly into human society. They established embassies in major cities, offered technological upgrades to governments and corporations, and even began a cultural exchange program. Humans flocked to learn from these advanced beings, eager to absorb their wisdom and experience their way of life. Yet, not everyone welcomed the aliens with open arms. Pockets of resistance formed, voicing concerns about humanity's rapid adoption of Astralis technology and the growing influence of the aliens in global affairs. James Riker, a former military intelligence officer, was one such skeptic. He watched the nightly news with growing unease, noting the subtle changes in policy and rhetoric from world leaders. "They're changing us," he muttered to himself, scribbling notes in a worn journal. But to what end? As the first year of the Astralis arrival drew to a close, Earth had been transformed. Polluted skies cleared, deserts bloomed with vegetation, and the first human colonies on Mars were already under construction. It seemed that a new golden age of humanity had begun. But beneath the surface of this utopian veneer, unseen currents were stirring. In hidden laboratories and secret meetings, the Astralis pursued agendas unknown to their human hosts. And in the shadows, individuals like James Riker worked tirelessly to uncover the truth behind the aliens' benevolent facade. As Dr. Chen prepared for another day of groundbreaking research, she couldn't shake a nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right. The Astralis had given humanity so much, but at what cost? And what did the future hold for Earth and its newfound place in the cosmos? Little did she know, the true intentions of the Astralis were about to be revealed, and the fate of humanity would hang in the balance. As the second year of the Astralis presence on Earth began, their influence had become ubiquitous. Sleek alien architecture dotted city skylines. Humans eagerly adopted Astralis fashion and customs, and a new hybrid language of English, and the musical Astralis tongue was gaining popularity. Dr. Ilara Chen found herself at the pinnacle of her career, co-leading a project to develop faster-than-light travel. The implications were staggering. Humanity would soon be able to explore the far reaches of the galaxy. "Imagine, Zor," Ilara said to her Astralis colleague as they worked late one night. "In a few years, we might be visiting your home world." Zor's expression flickered briefly before settling into its usual serene smile. "Indeed, Dr. Chen, the universe awaits." Unbeknownst to Ilara, James Riker was making progress in his investigation. He had noticed a pattern in global policy changes, subtle shifts that always seemed to benefit the Astralis or push humanity in a specific direction. One rainy evening, James met with a whistleblower from the United Nations in a dimly lit parking garage. "They're in everything," the source whispered, hands shaking as they passed James a data drive. "Every major decision, every technological advancement. The Astralis are pulling the strings." James's suspicions were confirmed as he pored over the files. The Astralis had placed their operatives in key positions within governments, corporations, and international organizations. They were slowly reshaping human society. But to what end? Meanwhile, the first human Astralis hybrid children were born, hailed as a new step in human evolution. These children exhibited extraordinary intelligence and some of the Astralis' natural abilities, such as telepathy and accelerated healing. Public opinion was divided. Many celebrated this new chapter in human history, while others feared the loss of human identity. Protests erupted in some cities, quickly quelled by Astralis peacekeeping forces using non-lethal suppression technology. Dr. Chen, still unaware of the growing undercurrent of discontent, continued her work with unwavering enthusiasm. However, she couldn't help but notice the increasing secrecy surrounding certain Astralis projects. One day, she accidentally accessed a restricted database, catching a glimpse of plans labeled Project Assimilation before being locked out. Troubled, she approached Zor for answers. "It's nothing to concern yourself with, Ilara," Zor assured her, a hint of steel beneath the melodious voice. "Simply a proposal for further cultural integration." But the seed of doubt had been planted in Ilara's mind. She began to pay closer attention to the subtle changes around her, the way humans were becoming increasingly dependent on Astralis technology and guidance. James Riker, having gathered enough evidence, decided it was time to go public. He reached out to a network of journalists and activists, preparing to release a damning report on the Astralis' true agenda. The night before the scheduled release, James's safe house was raided by a joint human Astralis task force. He narrowly escaped, but his network was compromised. As he went into hiding, he realized the Astralis influence ran deeper than he had imagined. As the third year of the Astralis presence approached, tension simmered beneath the surface of society. The aliens' technology had solved many of humanity's problems, but at what cost? The price of progress was becoming clear. Human autonomy was slowly slipping away. Ilara, her suspicions growing, decided to dig deeper into Project Assimilation. What she discovered would shake her world to its core and set in motion a chain of events that would determine the fate of humanity. Little did anyone know, the Astralis were entering the final stages of their plan. The true nature of their presence on Earth was about to be revealed, and humanity would face its greatest challenge yet. The revelation came swiftly and without mercy. On what seemed like an ordinary Tuesday, the Astralis showed their true colors. The crystalline ships that had hovered peacefully above Earth's cities for 3 years suddenly came alive with pulsing, angry red light. Dr. Ilara Chen was in her lab when the alarm sounded. She rushed to the window, her heart pounding, to see Astralis warships descending from the sky. The aliens she had worked alongside, trusted, and even befriended, were now raining destruction upon the city. "Zor," she called out, spotting her colleague amidst the chaos. "What's happening?" Zor turned, his usually serene face now twisted into a cold alien smirk. "The next phase of our plan, Dr. Chen. Earth is ripe for harvesting." Before Ilara could react, Zor raised a hand, and she felt her consciousness slipping away. As darkness engulfed her, she heard the Astralis message echoing across all communication channels. People of Earth, your planet is now under the full control of the Astralis Collective. Resistance is futile. Submit, and you may yet have a place in our new order. Across the globe, the scene was the same. The Astralis, using the very technology they had shared with humanity, swiftly disabled Earth's defenses. Military bases were neutralized, communication networks hijacked, and world leaders were either captured or forced into hiding. James Riker watched the invasion unfold from his hidden bunker, a mix of vindication and dread washing over him. He had been right all along, but the truth had come too late. Now he faced the daunting task of rallying a resistance against an enemy that seemed unstoppable. In the days that followed, the true extent of the Astralis deception became clear. The technology they had shared was designed with hidden backdoors and kill switches. Humanity's greatest advancements of the past 3 years became their greatest vulnerabilities. The Astralis-human hybrid children, once celebrated as the future of both species, were revealed to be sleeper agents. Their latent programming activated, they turned on their human families and joined the invaders. Cities were quickly transformed into processing centers, where humans were sorted based on their usefulness to the Astralis regime. Those with valuable skills were conscripted into forced labor, while others were herded into camps for a fate unknown. Ilara awoke in one such processing center, her mind reeling from the betrayal. She watched in horror as her fellow humans were categorized and separated, their fear palpable in the air. Determined to fight back, she began to secretly gather information, looking for weaknesses in the Astralis system. Meanwhile, James Riker was busy connecting with pockets of resistance around the world. Using old-school communication methods and staying off the grid, he began to piece together a global network of freedom fighters. One evening, as James was coordinating a supply run for a resistance cell, he received an unexpected transmission. It was from Dr. Chen. "This is Dr. Ilara Chen. If anyone can hear this, the Astralis have a weakness. Their neural network, it's vulnerable to." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving James with a glimmer of hope and a new mission. As the first month of Astralis rule came to an end, humanity stood on the brink. The aliens' control seemed absolute, their technology insurmountable. Yet, in hidden corners and underground bunkers, the seeds of resistance were taking root. Ilara, now working covertly within an Astralis facility, continued to search for a way to exploit the weakness she had discovered. James, armed with this new information, worked tirelessly to bring together the fragmented remains of human resistance. The Astralis, confident in their victory, began the next phase of their plan, the systematic restructuring of Earth's ecosystem to suit their needs. As alien flora began to replace native plants and the sky took on a strange, purple hue, the urgency of humanity's plight became even more apparent. The battle for Earth had only just begun, and the coming days would determine whether humanity would reclaim their world or be relegated to a footnote in the Astralis cosmic conquest. In the shadows of a world transformed, humanity's spirit refused to be extinguished. The resistance, born from desperation and hope, began to take shape. James Riker, now operating under the codename Phoenix, had successfully established a network of underground cells across the globe. In an abandoned subway tunnel beneath the ruins of New York City, James convened a clandestine meeting of resistance leaders. The group was diverse: former military personnel, hackers, scientists, and ordinary citizens united by their determination to reclaim Earth. "We've all seen what the Astralis are capable of," James began, his voice echoing in the dimly lit chamber. "But thanks to Dr. Chen, we now know they have a weakness. Our mission is clear: find Ilara, extract her, and use the information she has to bring down the Astralis neural network." Among the gathered rebels was Maya Patel, a brilliant programmer who had once worked on Astralis human interface systems. "If we can disrupt their neural network," she explained, "we might be able to sever the link between the Astralis and their technology. It could give us the opening we need. The plan was daring and dangerous. Small teams would be dispatched to key locations around the world, targeting Astris communication hubs and gathering intelligence. The ultimate goal was to locate Dr. Chen and extract her from wherever the Astris were holding her. Meanwhile, Chen was fighting her own battle within the heart of an Astris processing center. Posing as a compliant worker, she meticulously gathered data on the aliens' operations. She had discovered that the Astris neural network, the key to their technological supremacy, had a critical flaw. It was vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies. One night, as she attempted to access a restricted terminal, Ilara was caught by an Astris overseer. Just as she thought her cover was blown, an unexpected ally emerged, one of the human Astris hybrid children. "I'll distract them," the young hybrid whispered, her eyes reflecting an internal struggle. "Some of us are fighting the programming. We want to help." This revelation added a new dimension to the resistance. Not all of the hybrids were loyal to the Astris. Some were actively working against their alien progenitors. As the resistance grew, so did the Astris efforts to crush it. They deployed hunter-killer drones to patrol the cities and imposed stricter controls on human movement and communication. The purple sky darkened further, a constant reminder of the aliens' ongoing terraforming efforts. Despite the challenges, small victories began to mount. A resistance cell in Tokyo successfully sabotaged an Astris supply line. In Rio de Janeiro, rebels managed to hijack a communication relay, broadcasting messages of hope to the oppressed population. James and his team made a breakthrough when they intercepted an Astris transmission that mentioned a high-security facility in the Sahara Desert. They believed this could be where Dr. Chen was being held. Preparations for a rescue mission began immediately. Maya worked tirelessly to develop a device that could exploit the neural network vulnerability, while others gathered weapons and supplies. As the Resistance's activities intensified, cracks began to show in the Astris' seemingly impenetrable control. Reports of malfunctioning alien tech and confused Astris soldiers began to surface. The night before the rescue mission was set to launch, James received an unexpected transmission. It was from Zor, Ilara's former Astris colleague. "Phoenix, I know you're out there." Zor's voice crackled through the secure channel. "Not all Astris agree with this invasion. Some of us want to help. If you want to save Dr. Chen and your planet, meet me at the old observatory outside the city. Come alone." James stared at the radio, his mind racing. Could this be a trap, or a genuine offer of help from within the Astris ranks? The decision he would make could change the course of the Resistance and the fate of humanity. As dawn broke on the day of the rescue mission, the Resistance stood ready. Whether they succeeded or failed, the next 24 hours would be crucial in humanity's fight to reclaim their world from the Astris invaders. James Riker stood alone atop a hill, the ruins of the old observatory looming behind him. The purple sky cast an eerie glow over the landscape as he waited, every nerve on high alert. When Zor appeared, gliding silently across the barren ground, James's hand instinctively tightened on his concealed weapon. "I come in peace, Phoenix," Zor said, raising his hands in a gesture of surrender. "What I'm about to tell you will change everything." Over the next hour, Zor revealed a startling truth. A faction within the Astris, opposed to the invasion, had been working in secret to undermine their own people's efforts. They believed the conquest of Earth was not only unethical but potentially disastrous for both species. "Our leaders are blinded by their desire for resources and power," Zor explained. "They don't see that this path leads to mutual destruction. We want to help you, but we need something in return." The deal was simple. Zor's faction would provide critical intelligence and support for the rescue of Dr. Chen, and in exchange, the Resistance would help smuggle dissident Astris off-world to a hidden sanctuary. Back at the Resistance headquarters, James's decision to trust Zor was met with mixed reactions. Maya Patel was particularly skeptical. "How do we know this isn't an elaborate trap?" she demanded. "We don't," James admitted. But this might be our only chance to save Ilara and turn the tide. With Zor's intelligence, the rescue plan was refined. The Sahara facility was indeed where Dr. Chen was being held, along with other human scientists deemed valuable to the Astralis regime. As the rescue team prepared to move out, Maya made a breakthrough with her device designed to disrupt the Astralis neural network. "It's not perfect," she explained, "but it should create localized disruptions. Use them wisely." The mission commenced under the cover of a sandstorm. Resistance fighters, armed with Maya's disruptors and guided by Zor's inside knowledge, infiltrated the facility. The devices worked better than expected, causing confusion and disorientation among the Astralis guards. In the depths of the compound, they found Ilara. She was weak but alive, her eyes lighting up with hope at the sight of her rescuers. "You came," she whispered. "We never stopped fighting," James replied, helping her to her feet. As they made their escape, Ilara shared her findings. "The neural network is more vulnerable than we thought," she explained breathlessly. "With the right frequency, we could potentially shut down their entire system." The team fought their way out, aided by the chaos caused by Maya's devices and the covert assistance of Zor's faction. As they sped away from the facility, the true impact of their actions became clear. Astralis ships in the area began to falter, their systems going haywire. News of the successful rescue spread like wildfire through the resistance network. But more importantly, the information Ilara carried had the potential to change the course of the war. Over the next weeks, the resistance worked tirelessly. Maya and Ilara combined their knowledge, refining the disruptor technology. Zor and his allies provided crucial details about Astralis weaknesses and strategic targets. Small victories began to snowball. Resistance cells around the world, armed with the new disruptors, launched coordinated attacks on Astralis strongholds. The alien invaders, for the first time, found themselves on the defensive. The Astralis leadership, caught off guard by this sudden shift, began to show signs of desperation. They increased the brutality of their crackdowns, but this only served to turn more humans, and even some Astralis, against them. As the resistance gained momentum, a new hope spread across the planet. The once unbeatable Astralis were beginning to crack under the pressure of human resilience and the division within their own ranks. In a secret meeting, James, Ilara, Maya, and Zor planned their next move. "We have them on the run," James said, his eyes gleaming with determination. "Now it's time to take back our world." The stage was set for a final, all-out offensive against the Astralis. As humanity prepared for the battle that would determine their fate, the purple sky began to flicker, the first sign that Earth was fighting back against the alien terraforming. The tide was turning, but the greatest challenges and sacrifices still lay ahead. The Resistance's global command center, hidden deep within the Rocky Mountains, buzzed with activity. Holographic displays showed real-time updates from around the world as James Riker addressed the assembled leaders. "Today, we take back our planet," he declared, his voice firm with resolve. "Operation Thunderbolt begins now." Across the globe, resistance cells sprang into action. The plan was audacious. A coordinated, multi-pronged assault on key Astralis installations worldwide. The goal was to overload and shut down the alien neural network, crippling their technological advantage. Dr. Ilara Chen and Maya Patel had worked tirelessly to perfect the disruptor technology. Now, enhanced versions of the devices were distributed to strike teams around the world. "Remember," Ilara cautioned during the final briefing, "once we initiate the cascade failure in their network, we'll have a limited window to press our advantage. Every second counts." As the operation commenced, the sky erupted in a spectacular display of light and energy. Resistance ships, retrofitted with reverse-engineered Astralis tech, engaged the alien fleet in orbit. The battle for Earth's skies had begun. On the ground, strike teams moved with precision. In New York, A team led by a former Navy SEAL infiltrated the Astris command spire that had once been the Empire State Building. In Beijing, hackers worked furiously to breach alien firewalls as combat units provided cover. James, leading the assault on the primary Astris hub in the Sahara, found himself fighting alongside Zor and other Astris defectors. The sight of humans and aliens working together, united against a common foe, filled him with a sense of hope for the future. As the battles raged, Maya coordinated the global effort from the command center. Disruptor activation in 3, 2, 1. Now, she shouted. Around the world, resistance fighters activated their devices simultaneously. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Astris ships fell from the sky, their systems in chaos. On the ground, alien soldiers stumbled, their neural links severed. But the Astris leaders weren't going down without a fight. They initiated emergency protocols, sacrificing outlying forces to fortify their main strongholds. They're adapting faster than we anticipated, Ilara warned over the comm. We need to push harder. The resistance fought with desperate intensity, knowing that this might be their only chance. In Tokyo, a team successfully shut down the terraforming engine that had been altering Earth's atmosphere. In Rio de Janeiro, rebels freed thousands of humans from processing centers. As the battle reached its peak, James and his team finally breached the central chamber of the Sahara hub. There, they confronted the Astris Supreme Commander, a being of immense power and intelligence. You fight admirably. The commander's voice resonated in their minds, but you cannot hope to overcome millions of years of evolutionary and technological superiority. Watch us, James growled, activating his disruptor at maximum power. The ensuing psychic battle was unlike anything they had faced. The commander's mental assaults were devastating, dropping fighters where they stood. But slowly, bolstered by the disruptor's effect, James and the others began to push back. In a moment of desperation, the commander initiated the hub's self-destruct sequence. If we cannot have this world, no one will, it declared. Everybody out now, James ordered, grabbing the alien data core as they retreated. The explosion rocked the desert. Its shockwave felt hundreds of miles away. As the dust settled, the resistance held its breath, waiting for news from the other fronts. Gradually, reports began to filter in. The New York spire had fallen. Beijing was liberated. Around the world, Astris strongholds were crumbling. As dawn broke the next day, the purple sky had begun to recede, giving way to patches of Earth's natural blue. The air felt lighter, cleaner. For the first time in years, birds could be heard singing. Humanity had won its planet back, but the victory came at a great cost. Cities lay in ruins, millions had perished, and the scars of the invasion would take generations to heal. As the resistance leaders gathered to discuss the path forward, they knew that the real work was just beginning. Earth would need to be rebuilt, and humanity would have to find its place in a much larger, more complex galaxy. The Astris threat was neutralized, but as James looked up at the stars, he couldn't help but wonder what other challenges awaited humanity in the vast expanse of the cosmos. 5 years after the fall of the Astris, Earth was a planet transformed. The scars of the invasion were still visible, but amidst the ruins, new growth had taken root. Humanity, having faced extinction, emerged stronger and more united than ever before. In the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in Geneva, now a gleaming fusion of human and alien architecture, James Riker stood before the Global Council. His hair had grayed at the temples, but his eyes still burned with the same intensity that had led the resistance to victory. Today, we stand at a crossroads, he addressed the assembled leaders. We've reclaimed our world, but our journey is far from over. The galaxy awaits, and we must decide. Do we retreat into isolation, or do we reach for the stars? Dr. Chen, now head of the Earth Science and Exploration Division, stepped forward. The Astris data core we captured has given us unprecedented insight into the cosmos. There are wonders out there beyond our wildest dreams, but also potential threats we can't ignore. The debate that followed was heated. Some argued for focusing entirely on rebuilding Earth, while others pushed for rapid expansion into space. In the end, a compromise was reached. Earth would rebuild, but it would do so with an eye towards the stars. The next decade saw remarkable progress. Cities were reconstructed using a blend of human ingenuity and adapted Astris technology. The environment, so badly damaged by the alien terraforming, began to heal thanks to advanced restoration techniques. Perhaps most remarkably, the alliance forged between humans and Astris defectors continued to flourish. Zor and his fellow rebels, granted asylum on Earth, worked tirelessly to help humanity understand and adapt the alien technology they'd left behind. Maya Patil led a team that revolutionized Earth's digital infrastructure, creating a global network far more advanced and secure than anything that had existed before the invasion. "We're not just rebuilding," she often said. "We're evolving." As Earth healed, humanity turned its gaze outward. The first joint human-Astris space mission launched from the Sahara, where the decisive battle had been fought years before. Their destination, a nearby star system with potentially habitable worlds. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. The hybrid children, now young adults, faced discrimination despite their crucial role in the resistance. James and Ilara worked to establish programs to integrate them fully into society, recognizing that they represented the best of both species. There were also concerns about other alien civilizations. The Astris hadn't been alone in the galaxy, and humanity needed to prepare for future encounters, both peaceful and potentially hostile. On the 10th anniversary of the victory, a monument was unveiled in the heart of New York City. It depicted a human hand and an Astris hand clasped together, reaching towards a starry sky. The plaque read, "United in adversity, together we rise." As James stood before the monument, Ilara joined him. "Did you ever think we'd make it this far?" she asked. James smiled, his eyes on the stars above. "I always hoped. But the real question is, where do we go from here?" At that moment, as if in answer, a communication came through on Ilara's device. The deep space mission had made first contact with a new alien civilization. Humanity stood on the brink of a new chapter. The Astris invasion, for all its horror, had forged a species ready to take its place among the stars. The lessons learned of unity, resilience, and the dangers of unchecked power would guide them as they stepped onto the galactic stage. As news of the contact spread, a mixture of excitement and apprehension rippled through the global population. But this time, Earth was ready. Whatever came next, humanity would face it together, their eyes open and their spirits unbroken. The celestial tide had turned, and the dawn of a new era had begun.